What's going on, y'all? I'm Cody, or you can call me the Stone Mando. Thank you for tuning into my channel, the Stone Mandalorian. I appreciate you checking out my video. And today I'm gonna be taking a look at. I didn't know what to call this, whether it was gonna be a top 10 Black Series of best Black Series of all time, or if it was just gonna be a top 10 my favorite list. So I guess let's just call it an in between of that, of my opinion of the top 10 best of all time, and also mixed in with like basically my top 10 favorite. But just starting off here, I wanted to roll off some honorable mentions, and I want to talk about Captain Rex because this is a figure that I don't have just yet, and a lot of people say that this is the best Black Series figure of all time, but I can't. I feel like I can't quite attest to that because I don't have it in hand. But I know it's one of the better bodies of its time, even though it came out early on in the beginning of the line. That Rex body is also what's used on Commander Bly as well, and the weathering on that figure is also out of this world. We don't really see that in the Black Series a whole lot nowadays. So I understand that figure is a grail for a lot of people. And another cool thing is it's actually been teased by, I think, Nerdzoic, but mostly Yak Face, that it's going to be getting a re-release in the same red and black box packaging. So people like me who've only been collecting for around 2 years, 2.5 years, will have a chance to get figures that uh, we didn't get a chance to get because we weren't collecting yet. I've like I said, I've only been collecting them for close to 2 years now, but I've been a Star Wars fan my entire life. So, but the next one I wanted to get into also was the Dagobah Yoda and Luke 2 pack. That's one of the best Luke Skywalkers we have in the Black Series line. It's one of the best likenesses because they tend to have a hard time. Hasbro has a tendency to have kind of a wonky photo real application when it comes to Mark Hamill. He's got a very unique face. So along with him and Han Solo, him and Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, they have a hard time getting their the faces of the figures just right. The best Han probably is the Power of the Force version, but there's that weird two tone from the neck, face and neck. It's like a different color skin tone or whatever. But sticking with it, that Yoda is also a correctly scaled Yoda. Uh, Again, amazing detail, amazing sculpt. The way that you can get that Luke to balance on one hand is really cool to emulate the scene in Empire Strikes Back. Just a really cool 2 pack, one of the best 2 packs in the line, if not the best 2 pack in the entire line. And well, that is until we start getting these Army Builder 2 packs that might be put in question. But as far as named characters go, it's one of the best 2 packs out there in the Black Series. And then next, I want to talk about the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. Amazing, amazing figure. It's one that I actually have two of. I have him on a card somewhere up here on the Return of the Jedi card back for the 40th anniversary, and I also have him in the Galaxy packaging somewhere down here. I think I'm going to open that one up here pretty soon. But that figure, just the paint is great. The jetpack has that old school like yellow blue color on it, just like it was in Return of the Jedi. Again, the only thing I could really point out that could use like a dirtier undersuit, or like his flight suit up underneath his armor, it could be have a little bit of a wash on it, be a little bit dirtier. But other than that, it's a great figure, great articulation, great flame accessories, just a very cool deluxe pack. And then last off for the honorable mentions, and I probably left so many off. So if you have something else that you feel like I should have thrown in, go ahead and comment it down below. I'd like to hear it. But for the last one for the honorable mentions is the Gamorrean Guard. I also have that on Return of the Jedi card back somewhere down here. 40th anniversary, of course. And the soft goods on that figure is just very well executed. Soft goods can be a little bit wonky, especially in the Black Series. But I just feel like they were very well done on the Gamorrean Guard. The sculpt is amazing. The articulated mouth and jaw. The paint is great. It's just very, very well done figure and a great, definitive, perfect representation for that creature, that species in Star Wars. So very, very cool figures. And I just wanted to throw those little ones as honorable mentions because I was going to put them on my list, but I just chose not to for some reason. So, but let me go ahead and roll on with the rest of the video. And one more honorable mention that I almost forgot was this almost made it in my top 10 list, but I don't know, for some reason I just left it off. It's an incredible figure, and I absolutely love the character himself. But another honorable mention that I had was the Glavis Ringworld Mando. And the reason I chose this one as an honorable mention is, like I said, it was very close to being in my top 10. Your opinions kind of change over time, but like right now, how I'm feeling, next week that figure could be like I could be messing with like, damn, this really is an amazing figure. Maybe this is one of the best Black Series figures of all time, or even my top 10 favorite. But as of right now, I'm just throwing it in honorable mentions. The Glavis Ringworld Mando, most of it is a brand new sculpt. The legs are brand new from the armor, the knees. Um, has that new overlay type armor or whatever. Somewhat better articulation, updated weapons and holster, soft goods cape, so you can actually have the cloak on and the jetpack. Also comes with the dark saber, very nicely detailed dark saber too. It's got a very nice white on the edges, very really pops. Brand new hilt for that dark saber as well. It's got a hook on it. And I think it's slightly longer than the one that comes with, say, like Moff Gideon or the one that comes with Pre Vizsla. I think those are the same dark sabers. This one's brand new. Besides maybe the blade having different paint apps, but really amazing figure. The paint on that figure, it just really it pulls off the chromey feel, the chromey look, and it just has a nice sheen to it. And I like the little blue accents of the extra new armor that he's put together. It just looks really clean. Again, also newly sculpted helmet. So the legs are brand new. Some of the arms I think are brand new. The new overlay, but that helmet is like much better proportion than the other ones. The older version, the original release, just looks, the gray on it is just very dull. Uh, Terrible holster, smaller little blaster pistol that's little smaller than what it seems to be. This one, the newer one, is also slightly bigger, different paint apps. Like I said, updated holster. I think I said that, and just the helmet itself, just so much better proportion. It looks fantastic. It looks like there's a head under there, and it's not just sitting on a stand, and it's not too wide or too long. It's just very nicely proportioned. But like I said, that was very close. The Glavis Ringworld Mando was very close to making it in my top 10, but just not quite. And so starting off here at number 10, I have Padawan Ahsoka. And that figure is just, it's so beautifully sculpted. It's such a perfect blend of like what a live action young Ahsoka would look like with mixed with the animated version. The paint is very well done. The quality control on mine was, she's somewhere over here on this shelf, but mine was just perfect. Her facial markings and stuff like that. It was just a really awesome figure. And the fact that they were able to make such a petite, small figure. So, which in defense, usually it's easier for smaller figures to have better articulation, but at the same time, being able to hide those butterfly joints in the shoulders was just really cool and just a very awesome definitive version of an early season 3, early Clone Wars young version of a like teenager version of Ahsoka. But just absolutely love that figure. The articulation is the only thing I could point out about that figure is I don't like the way that there's like a little spot on the ankles where her flexion, like to swivel outside, is kind of inhibited. But other than that, and her kind of small feet, which a lot of figures with smaller feet are known to have trouble standing. But for the most part, I've only had her fall maybe like 3 or 4 times the entire time I've had her. I've had her for quite a few months now. It's one of my favorite figures in the line, which is why it's number 10. But I just really love that version of Ahsoka. A lot of collectors waited for this look of Ahsoka because we got the other version, the Mandalore, the Clone Wars version, season 7 version, and the legs were reused from the Rebels version of Ahsoka, so it's not totally accurate to her costume in season 7 of Clone Wars during the Siege of Mandalore. But still, pretty good looking figure. This one definitely, this Padawan Ahsoka definitely beats that one out. This is by far, and don't get me wrong, the Ahsoka, the Mandalorian version of Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson's interpretation of Ahsoka, that figure is some of the best photo reel in the entire line. It looks just like Rosario Dawson. It's like she's on your shelf. She's somewhere over here. But the photo reel is crazy, wicked on that figure. It just looks really good. But in my opinion, this version of Ahsoka is the bar none the best version of Ahsoka in the Black Series. And next up for number, let's go. Okay, so I almost lost my count. Number 9, we're gonna go with Count Dooku, and I just absolutely, he's one of my favorite characters in Star Wars because he's kind of like an anti-hero. He's not quite a villain, but he's not a hero either. He's doing what he thinks is right, and he's going to do whatever is necessary to achieve that goal and to fulfill whatever his thoughts are. But just a really awesome figure. It's one of the best photo reels in the entire line. It looks just like Christopher Lee. Another interesting character. Not even his character, but just Christopher Lee in general was a very interesting, and he's very wise man. He's seen a lot of shit in his day. Sir Christopher Lee, actually, because he's been knighted, so I should say that. But just getting down to the figure, just perfect representation for this character, for Count Dooku. And it look like I said, it looks just like Christopher Lee, so it really helps you really fall into that realness that like Count Dooku is on your shelf. And obviously, if you're into figure photography, even better for you because it just looks so much more real. It looks so realistic, and it just adds so much more depth when with this photo reel ever since it was introduced. And the way that the soft goods is another thing. Really decent soft goods. It's a little wonky with there's like two threads that come through the back under behind his back on the soft goods, but I feel like they sit very well. I love the darker brown on the outside and the lighter brown on the inside. They contrast very well against his darker brown costume or cloak, whatever you want to call it. And just really perfect representation for Count Dooku. And it looks photoreal is unreal, if you get what I did there. But just a really decent articulated figure. He's a very elegant guy, and I feel like this figure like displays that well. Like the way it holds, I just feel like it just really captures his character well, and I just feel like it's one of the best Black Series. It is top 10, number 9, one of the best the ninth best Black Series figure in the line. I guess was what I'm technically saying by this video, but just a really awesome figure and great representation. So Count Dooku definitely number 9. On to number 8 here. I'm going to go with the Death Watch Mandalorian, and that body, that mold is just very well articulated. I love the way it's very fun to pose. I love the armor, that blue color that they chose just looks great. It's like a slight purple hue on the visor of the Mando helmet and also on his undersuit or his flight suit, if you'd like to say. But just a really well articulated figure. It's just an awesome action figure. Like this is something that I could like. If you're just adult fan of Star Wars or even a kid, you're going to see that figure and just you see a jetpack and two weapons and a cool guy in armor. You got to get it. Dope helmet, and it's just a really fun figure to mess around with and pose. And I actually have him posed up somewhere over here with next to Pre Vizsla. But I just really enjoy that mold. It's very well articulated, very modern articulation. Butterfly joints, got your good swivel, gets good splits, good shoulder mobility. Just a really awesome figure, and I just love the way it looks, and I really enjoy messing around with it. And that blue just really pops on your shelf. You know, it's a nice way to add some color on your shelf. But definitely, Death Watch Mando, just a really matter of fact, I actually have him sitting right here because I was gonna open up my second one of them, and he just looks really great, man. And I feel like another figure that kind of like an army builder. You could make this an army builder and do some weathering effects and make them all look different. Have you a little squad of Death Watch Mandos, and yeah, man, just a really awesome figure. I love the articulation. The overlay on it is really great. Got the O-ring shoulder pads, and also the floating knee pads, which is a huge plus. It allows you to move the knee pad where it should be on the knee if you want to put them in a crouching position or a lunge pose or a jumping pose, whatever. But yeah, got to go with number 8 for Death Watch Mandalorian, man. Now with number 7 here, I'm probably going to get a lot of scrutiny and like shit talking from people. This is a character that not many people like, but man, this figure is just absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. And number 7, my favorite Black Series, or even the best Black Series figure, among the best Black Series figures in the line. Number 7 goes to Jar Jar Binks, man. The paint. Hear me out, because I know you're probably looking at this screen like, no way, dude. Give me a second to explain. Go back and pick if you don't own that figure, you're missing out. And if you do have it, and you're just like, kind of like looked over, go back and grab that figure. Not only are their accessories badass, and he comes with a lot of accessories, the Booma, the Booma on the thrower, the energy shield itself, and the Gungan staff. That articulation on that figure, the head and neck articulation, the ankle articulation, the arm, the articulation on that figure is great. The posability and expression you can get out of that figure, just you can capture a lot of Jar Jar moments, and it's just so fun to mess with. Next thing is the paint, dude. Look at the arms and just the face and the eyes, unreal, like insane, wicked paint application, dude. That yellow on the eyes, that iris color, is just beautifully done. I freaking love it. That pattern on his arms, the paint is just so well done. It looks just like it looks like his skin from the movies. It just captures Jar Jar so freaking well. I love those little weird feet he's got. Like they're so this figure. He's kind of like a taller Gungan too. Gungans are naturally taller, but he's a taller figure, so he's kind of got some weight to him. And I just feel like his balance. He just sits and stands so well. Not once since I've owned this figure has he fallen over. And you know what's crazy? We're just now getting a lot of prequel representation and love. And even this year, before 2024, Hasbro did say that they were going to start focusing more on the prequels for the Black Series. But this figure has dropped down. You can get him for like anywhere from 13 to 20 bucks. And this was a deluxe figure. When he came out, he was $33.99. So $34 deluxe price. But with the amount of accessories and paint and the kind of somewhat bigger figure he is, I would have paid that at first. But I got into the series, into the line later on. Like I said, I've only been collecting around close to 2 years, maybe 2.5, something like that. And got this figure later on when it's been cheap. And dude, like, I just don't get it. I got the figure and I could not put it down. I was messing with it for a good 3 or 4 days, just messing with it. I have him right here next to Padme, Qui-Gon, and young Anakin. I just need to get that 3-pack so I can get that version of Maul and that Princess Obi-Wan, Padawan Obi-Wan, and I'll be so happy. But it'll look great. But I kind of lost my train of thought there. Yeah, just talking about Jar Jar, man. Just what an insanely detailed, well articulated figure. Perfect representation for this character, man. And if you don't have him yet, you need him on your shelf. Just like such an underrated, underappreciated figure. And honestly, I might even would have thrown him up higher on my list. Like to me, he might even be the top 5 best Black Series figures in the line. But just my opinion. It's just me saying. But for this list, for how I'm feeling at this moment, this day, how I'm feeling today, he's number 7. And number 6, I chose Empire Strikes Back Vader. And I almost chose the Kenobi version of Vader, but I don't know. And the New Hope is also good, but the New Hope version doesn't have butterfly joints. And I kind of like the way Vader looks with his chest plate completely open. The New Hope version, he's got his cloak kind of covers his chest plate and on the sides. But the Kenobi version and the Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, his chest plate is just open. There's his cape falls on his shoulders or behind his shoulders. And also the reason I chose Empire Strikes Back is just because that figure that's my favorite representation of Vader. Empire ESB is arguably one of the best Star Wars movies. It's argued by many to be one of the best, not one of the best. It is one of the best, but people argue that it is the best Star Wars movie of all time. And the helmet of the Empire Strikes Back Vader, it just looks meaner than any of the other Vaders, in my opinion. I feel like the hood it's obviously it's very based off samurai style helmets, but it comes down further past his jawline, so it just looks more hooded and evil looking. And also his eyes look more bubbly. They're not as flat looking as compared to the Return of the Jedi or especially the Kenobi version. It's a lot. The face seems more flat, and the Empire Strikes Back version just seems more like bulbous. You know what I'm saying? More bubbly. If you don't get what I'm saying, go look up the differences between the Empire Strikes Back, New Hope, and Return of the Jedi and Kenobi versions. There's slight elements. You know, they have like a little bit of silver down at the bottom of the neck, and there's also silver on the left cheek just to accentuate the lines of the helmet in the movie, just due to lighting at that time. And I don't know, man. I just love this representation. That's what I'm. Excuse me. I love this representation of Vader, and I just love the figure. And when I got it, it was like $35. I don't know. I reckon that was a retail figure for $25. I don't see that one being a deluxe. But when I had gotten it, I had first started collecting. It was actually like my second or third figure ever. My first one was a gift to me. It was Commander Cody, and then I got a 501st Clone Trooper. Then I got Obi-Wan. Then Vader. Then I got the Rebels version of Ahsoka. But so the Empire Strikes Back version that I got it for $35. Now That version of Vader, it's hard to find him for under 45, $50, 55 even, if you're lucky. But just really love that representation of that character. Well, I'm saying that representation a lot in this video, but it's true. It's just a solid word to describe like the how they're capturing this character. But that honestly, number six, Empire Strikes Back for sure. Number five, my top out of my top 10 slash best Black Series figures of all time. I don't know what I'm calling this list, dude. But anyways, number five, I'm giving to the Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker. Uh, and just again, here's that word again, representation. I know I'm overusing it. I need to find a different word, but I can't think of one right now. But that figure is just very, again, great articulation. You get a lot of very dynamic poses out of that figure. And the likeness to Mark Hamill is okay. It's not bad. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. And just really, it's nice to have that regular, like tucked in shirt version of Luke because we got the Imperial Light Cruiser of Luke and also the Luke and Grogu build up pack. But the Luke and Grogu build up pack, he's kind of got like a karate ninja gi style outfit and wrappings around his legs. And the Imperial Light Cruiser Luke, he's almost got it's almost a Return of the Jedi outfit, except for there's like an overlay over his chest, and it's almost like roby, like kind of robes. But now this version is just the regular, like almost looks like black t-shirt, black long sleeve shirt with black pants. It's just a Return of the Jedi version of Luke Skywalker. No other variants like screen accurate. And this one also comes with a chest plate that comes off, and it's got the solid black, like at the beginning of the movie when you're wondering if Luke's turned to the dark side or not. And then towards the end of the movie when he's fighting Vader, that little white strap falls down just to show that there's still light within him and he hasn't fallen completely to the dark side. There's still light within Luke. But that white strip, there's also a chest plate that shows that white flap that comes from his costume. Very cool. Again, lightsaber hilt is very nicely painted. Juicy, vibrant green blade for the saber. And like I think I said this already, but the likeness to Mark Hamill is okay. Yeah, I think I said that. But yeah, number five, I got to give it to this figure, and I have him loose somewhere over here next to Palpatine and Vader, and I also have him on card, like mint beautiful card. I scored him for $20 at a comic shop, so I was pretty happy about that. But just a really great figure, and again, this is one of those figures that it should be readily available to collectors or fans. Like that's just something if there's a Black Series. Sorry, there's something floating. If there's a Black Series aisle in a store or Star Wars section, there needs to be a Stormtrooper, a Darth Vader, a Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, like the main characters, and this is just really a really great definitive version of Luke Skywalker. And number four, this was almost my maybe it was, I can't remember. I have to rewatch my video list of top figures for 2023. But this was almost my I think this was almost my top figure for 2023 for last year. And number four goes to Darth Malgus, dude. Just a big, bulky, hulking Sith Lord, very imposing. He really demands presence on the shelf, just great shelf presence. And really great articulation for this being a bigger figure as well. Sometimes it's harder to get those like below 90, like before the big biceps and forearms start like kind of, coming together. He does have double jointed legs, so that helps him get some really nice lunging poses. He's got some really good weight, and he's very tall, so he sits and balances very well. And arguably the best, or one of the best, probably top five best soft goods in the entire line. His cape just has a magnificent flow to it. The hood sits perfectly on his head and his shoulders. You can pull it off and on with little to no adjustment, and just a little bit of glue that sits down on the bottom of the hood on his chest or on the front of his shoulders, I should say, or his like collarbone. Traps are up here, but like his collarbones. Just very, very well done soft goods. I love that hood, and just like I said, just a really big beefy figure. And he did retail he was deluxe price, so he was $33.99. And I of course I paid that as soon as I could. I have no problem paying. In my opinion, he was worth the $33.99. And I didn't play the Old Republic games, but I did play the old 4 Battlefront and Force Unleashed and stuff, but I never got a chance to play the Old Republic because I want to say that was just like PC and Xbox, and me and my brother had PlayStation. Well, my brother had an Xbox, I had a PlayStation, but I can't remember why we didn't play it. But either way, I didn't really know a lot about this character, but just seeing how cool he was, dude, you don't always have to have some kind of personal connection to the character. Is that cool? Is it better? Of course, as most of my collection is based on my personal connection to that character. But if a figure is cool and it looks badass and it looks great on the shelf, get it, dude. You don't have to have any kind of connection or know who it is. As soon as I seen that, I was like, oh, dude, I got to know who this is. So I immediately started doing research, trying to figure out as much as I could about Darth Malgus. And that's just how it goes, man. If you get introduced to him through a game, through media or a figure, whatever. And actually, my first recollection, my first memory of Darth Malgus is actually like back in like 2015 or 14 or something like that, like towards when the game first came out, or a couple years after it came out. I remember seeing those cutscenes and they just looked amazing. Absolutely like sick, dude. The cutscenes and the animation it was like a movie, dude. It was literally like a movie. And the cutscenes with Bastille Sean and that Zabrak Jedi, just like seeing all the Sith fight all the Jedi, Darth Malgus being a fucking boss, dude. Just yeah, man. You don't always have to have a personal connection to enjoy or get a figure. But Darth Malgus definitely number 4, probably my favorite. Number 4 of my favorite figures in the entire line, and maybe even number 4 best figure in the entire Black Series line above all. And number 3 is going to my probably like definitely my top 5, if not top 3 favorite characters in all of Star Wars. Got a tattoo of them. Got to go with my boy Darth Maul. And I'm going with the Clone Wars version. The old Master version is the articulation on that figure is super smooth. But dude, I love the head sculpt of the Clone Wars version, man. The only thing is the shade of red is different on the face and on his chest. But dude, the rest of the figure, how badass it looks, I can look past the rest of that. Perfect representation for Darth Maul, and I love his Clone Wars version of his outfit with the robotic legs. Very well done. He stands very well. You can get some really sick poses out of this figure, really decent articulation. The one thing that I could ask for more out of this figure is maybe like less than 90 out of the knees, and the knees don't really get, I think they get like right at 90 degrees or slightly less. But excuse me, Darth Maul is like a very acrobatic and agile, fast, strong character, even though he's like of smaller stature, smaller size, kind of like Wolverine, except for not as stacked. Maul definitely leaner, but he needs to be able to get into some crazy acrobatic poses. His form requires him to. He uses the Force in different ways than most Jedi. He uses it to enforce he uses it for physical enhancement when his striking or his acrobatic abilities and stuff like that. Form is it 6 or 7 Juyo? I'm getting it mixed up. I think 7 is Vapod or Vapod. Like maybe I think 6 is Juyo. I can't remember. I'm getting it. Or no. It's 6 Shien. Trying to remember. I know form 4 is Ataru. 3 is Sarisu, the defensive form. Then you got Makashi form 2. Okay, I'm getting off subject. I'm getting into the lightsaber form. That's a whole another subject, dude. Maybe I'll do that in another video just for fun and just to switch it up from doing figures. But anyways, yeah, number 3, definitely one of the best in top 5 best Black Series figures of all time. Just representation, sculpt, paint, the double bladed lightsaber, just really awesome job of capturing this figure, and it's just so fun to mess around with. I have 2. I have one in box, and the other one somewhere back here. And I might be a little bit biased because he's one of my favorite characters. So tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if this should be lower on my list or not even in. Tell me if this is not even in the top 10 at all. I'd like to hear your opinion. But to me, dude, I love Darth Maul. This figure, if it was a bad figure, I'd be willing to say it. Even though I love the character, I'd be like, man, I love Darth Maul. This is a crappy figure, though. Like, I wish this was so much better. But, like, me, when I'm messing around with it, I'm like, man, this is so cool. Like, this is freaking Darth Maul, man. You know, that's how I feel when I'm posing them and showing them off to somebody who's coming to check out my collection or somebody by my house or whatever. But, yeah, man, number 3 goes to Darth Maul, Clone Wars, dude. Just amazing sculpt, really decent paint, awesome articulation. and just a badass character, dude. All right, man. So we're getting down to the top two now, and this was really hard because I was really interchanging these a whole lot. But I gave number two to the Phase 2 Clone Trooper. And the 2023, the brand new, the 3.0 mold of the Phase 2. And the only thing I'm going to go ahead and get the bad things about this figure out of the way, is the 5 o'clock shadow on the face, on the clone face underneath the helmet, because this does have a removable helmet. I don't like the 5 o'clock shadow. It's very half-assed done. It doesn't even it comes like halfway up, like mid sideburns. It's not even like a full 5 o'clock shadow. It's just really weird. And preferably, I'm not even going to I don't display any of my clones without their helmets, unless it's like a named clone or something like Jesse or whatever. Unfortunately, I don't have fives yet, but Jesse also one of the best face sculpts in the entire line. Let me stay on track. Phase 2. Then another thing is the helmet, when it is on, you can see a little bit of the chin. The way that the breathing apparatus, the tendrils come, you can see a little bit of the chin. So you kind of, if you pose the head down or have him on a bottom shelf, you can kind of make do with how you pose and hide his chin. But that's the one downside, and ultimately why I put him number 2 instead of number 1. It was just because the 5 o'clock shadow on the face is terrible. And the fact that you can see a little bit of the chin when the helmet is on, just small, that's a small nitpick. But on to the great things about this figure. Floating knee pads, butterfly joints, bicep and elbow articulation or swivel, and really decent. It's got this has had the armor overlay, much better than it all being one piece. Allows for the much better shoulder mobility. I think, if I didn't say it yet, butterfly joints, floating knee pads, so you can put them in a crouching pose and actually have the knee pad where it's supposed to be on the knee, touching the ground. Looks very nice. With the butterfly joints, you can aim down the sights and shoulder a weapon perfectly, no problem. It's just it poses so organically and naturally. Sorry, my cats are fighting. Cut it out. Sorry, my cats are fighting. But it just poses so naturally and organically, and the proportions of this figure are perfect. It looks like a guy wearing armor. It doesn't look like a skeleton or like the armor is sitting on a stand, very skinny looking. It looks like there's a person up underneath the armor, and I just really enjoy and like the proportions of this figure. And arguably the best army builder in the line. Until I get a number 1, that might change your mind, but definitely top amongst the top best army builders of the line in general. Just the Phase 2 helmet, I actually have it right here. It's one of my favorite designed helmets in all of Star Wars. It's very nostalgic to me. Just watching Episode 3 with my brother and stuff growing up, I just really like that helmet design. It just stuck out to me for some reason. It just sticks in my brain. I love that design. And yeah, man, got to give the Phase 2 Clone Trooper number 2. And finally, now this is number 1. This is my number 1 pick. I don't. It may even be. I can't say it's my favorite Black Series figure of all time, but to me, it may be the best Black Series figure of all time. That's kind of why I made this list my top 10 favorite and the top 10 best. It's kind of like a mix of it in between. I know it's kind of messed up and it might be cheating, but it's my list. I don't care. So just deal with it. But number 1 goes to the 2020 Stormtrooper for the 40th, and I have him in the. He was released in the Galaxy packaging for Mandalorian, but I have him on the somewhere up here in the 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi card back, and I have 5 of these. I have 5 Stormtroopers. I have 4 loose, as you can see over here on my OT shelf, and I have 4 here and then 1 up here on card, like I said. And that figure, just some of, if not the best articulated figure in the entire line. Perfect representation. I know you're probably tired of hearing the word representation. I'm tired of saying it. I'm sorry. That's the best word I can come up with right now. I should have used a thesaurus or something like that. I'll work on my vocabulary, okay? But just that shiny sheen armor, it's just captured very well. It just looks like you plucked them right out of the OT. The best army builder of all time, arguably, man. Just so iconic. It's what started all of Star Wars. When you see Episode 4, the first thing you see, other than the Tantive and the Star Destroyer, is C-3PO, And then you see the stormtroopers coming in, fighting the rebels, just like a very iconic design and part of Star Wars. And anybody sees a stormtrooper helmet, they know it's Star Wars immediately. There's no questions asked. Everybody knows what a stormtrooper helmet looks like and what a stormtrooper is. But that figure is just, it's amazing, man. You can crouch this figure, great lunges, it's got a butterfly joints. The legs are great. The proportions are great. Like I said about the Phase 2 Clone Trooper, it looks like someone is underneath that armor actually wearing it. Again, we have the E11, which is very iconic weapon of the story. It's the Stormtrooper blaster, very well. Universal Stormtrooper blaster is the E11. It's the DC-15 for the clones. But I just love this figure, and it's really fun to mess around with. And they look, even if you only get one, but I gotta say they look fucking badass when you have like three or four next to each other, especially like standing behind a Vader, or have them standing in with Tarkin or something. At one point in my shelf before I switched everything up, I had two standing with Vader and two standing with Tarkin. The two that I had standing with Vader were like wielded ready, fire ready, and the two with Tarkin were just like standing, at attention, rifles down or whatever. And I just love this figure. It's so fun to mess around with. And when I really think about it, man, it is one of my favorite Black Series figures of all time. If I had to like pick a Black Series figure out of all this and give it away for charity or some shit, that's probably one of the ones that I would hold on to. If I could pick five, it would probably be one of the five I'd hold on to. Just so iconic to Star Wars. And I just really enjoy that figure. Well, y'all, that is my top 10 best Black Series / top 10 favorite Black Series list of all time. And I hope you all enjoyed it. I'd like to hear if I've missed any figures, or if you think I should have knocked some off or knocked them up higher or lower. Let me know. Comment down below. I love talking to y'all about uh, Star Wars and figures and what's happening currently in the lore and everything. I really enjoy it, and it's just Star Wars is an awesome community, and it's cool to be a fan in the community and to be a part of it. It's just really enjoyable, man, and it brings me along with so many others joy. That's why we do it, right? It's why it's escapism. We can get into it and just leave our own problems in everyday life, and it's just enjoyable, man. And I really enjoy talking with others about Star Wars. But that is my top 10 list, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a good day or night whenever you're watching this. May the force be with you.